is Joy News Prime.
Right, you're welcome to the most comprehensive 2 hours of news on television. In Ghana, in this edition of Joy News Prime, one resident of Kaswa, Millennium City, on the verge of death after he was struck by a gunshot fired by military officers in an attempt to disperse a crowd there. Vice President Kwesi Sarata declares President Mahama is ready to face off anyone interested in challenging him for the flag bearership of the National Democratic Congress as he picks nomination forms on his behalf. The party has, however, dismissed officials who handed over nomination forms to the only other person interested in the contest so far. Leader of National Democratic Party adds to calls for the Electoral Commission to compile a new voters register for the 2016 elections and also advocates the use of e-voting.
And in business tonight, the finance minister explains temporary taxes imposed since 2013 will remain for a while longer due to the current challenges the country is experiencing with the declining revenue from exports. Said Tepe is, however, confident the economy will be seeing a turnaround soon that will lead to creation of more jobs.
So, Etonamse will be here with the business news in just about 30 minutes, but also in the bulletin. Several Volta region communities deprived broadcast signals of state broadcaster after Electricity Company of Ghana disconnects supply to GBC transmission station at Amidofa in the Volta region. But also coming up in the bulletin, we have sport, entertainment, your social media comments, where we get interactive, and internationally, your full bouquet news package is airborne. And my name is Israel. Stay tuned. A young man is in a coma after he was shot in the head during a demonstration at Millennium City in Kaswa near Accra. The bullet that threatens the life of this unidentified man was allegedly fired from the gun of a soldier who was part of a contingent of security personnel deployed to keep the peace during the protest against the demolition of houses in that community. We'll be bringing you the story in a bit, but in our very first story, it's hard to tell people to refrain from taking the law into their own hands when they are subjected to incessant armed robbery attacks with little or no help from the security agencies. So it came as little surprise to many when a mob at Adome Estates in Kaswa near Accra lynched a suspected armed robber and set his body ablaze on Tuesday. But members of this community continue to live in fear, believing that such vigilante action might only provoke more brazen attacks. Some of the residents are seriously considering leaving the area to escape the scourge of armed robbery. Beatrice Edu has been there and filed this report.
I'm in the house of some residents who were robbed on Tuesday, the 1st of September, the latest robbery that happened here at Adome Estate at Kaswa. The residents are worried about the spate of armed robbery in this neighborhood. The neighborhood, I wouldn't say, is an isolated neighborhood. The roads are also very bad, probably making it difficult for the police to heed calls of people who are attacked by robbers. We'll go in and speak to the person who was attacked, one of the people who was attacked in the latest armed robbery incident. He is in a compound house here, and it wasn't just his room that was robbed. There were 2 other rooms that were robbed. Anthony Asiri Yabwa, tell us, how did this whole thing happen?
That was on the 1st of September 2015, around 1:05 a.m. I was in the room once I heard a door being break up. What I found out was that there was a gun on me, so I just hands up and surrendered to the armed robbers. And probably, unfortunately for me, they took some money and took some 10 Ghana cedis. They took some money, they took my 4 mobile phones and my laptops. And they told me that if I don't give them all these items, they would rather kill my wife and my children, so I must surrender to them.
So you were in the room with your wife and children when they came on you?
Yes.
How many children?
4.
You told me you were the last person the robbers came to when they came here on Tuesday.
Yes, please.
At what time did they come here?
Normally they came here around 1:05 when I checked my time. 1:05 in the at dawn.
You were telling me earlier that armed robbery is a big case in this neighborhood. How often does it happen?
At least every 3 days we hear the sound of the robbers being around, being complained by our neighbors.
And how does it make you feel as a resident?
In fact, we feel very uncomfortable over here. And we feel like somehow even living from this area.
We understand that on Tuesday one of the robbers was actually burnt alive. Tell us about that.
I shouted, "Thief, thief, thief!" People started chasing thieves. It's probably here that the thieves have been burned. But I didn't go there at all because of the way I was shivering and all sorts of things.
How do you see the armed robbery cases in this community?
They are making this community so difficult. This place is, I don't know what to say. It's difficult.
I can tell from your voice that you're a bit traumatized. Is that the case?
We are very scared. We can't bear it anymore. It's too much. This area, armed robbing, they are making this area difficult. So we can't stay here any longer.
How bad has it been and over what period of time?
I think it's about 2 weeks ago.
It's been very bad from 2 weeks?
Yes.
But before 2 weeks, were you having armed robbery cases?
No.
So what do you think you've been targets within these 2 weeks you talk about?
I don't know.
It started recently. No, it hasn't been other rampant. It's just recently that it's happening.
How does it make you feel?
Unsecured. To find unsecured, very unsecured. Even yesterday I didn't sleep here. You understand? I left here to a certain place.
And does it make you feel you also want to relocate like a few others are saying?
Exactly. I'll be relocating very soon. Very soon.
Now we're returning to what was supposed to be our original first story. A young man is in coma after he was shot in the head during a demonstration at Millennium City in Kaswa, in Accra, near Accra. The bullet that threatens the life of this unidentified man was allegedly fired from the gun of a soldier who was part of a contingent of security personnel deployed to keep the peace during the protests against the demolition of houses in the community. A real estate company called 21st Century Construction Company initiated the demolition, but residents say the chief executive of the company had no authority to destroy their homes.
The 21st Century CEO, alias Asma, he has brought troops.
Asma is not a name, what's his full name?
That's what we know.
His nickname?
Yeah, that's what we know, actually. He has brought people to the soldiers to kill people as we talk.
Are you sure he brought them here to kill people?
That's what we will say now, for now, because one man has been gunned down and two also has been shot on their leg.
And we saw soldiers. They were coming in numbers, you see. So after they came with bulldozer that they are coming to demolish our buildings. So
is it the first time they are doing something like
no,
this?
This is not the first time.
Okay.
Several times, you see. So this time around, we said we will not allow because it's not easy to build. You see,
we have court orders, injunction upon injunctions, orders upon orders, judgment upon judgment, but it doesn't work.
Why?
Yes, just because he owns the government.
Is that what you are saying? Or that's what he told you?
That's what he told me, not what I'm saying. He told the president that Ghana government ultimately.
Who do you think is behind all of this?
Well, Mr. Kofi Asma, the director of the 21st Century Company.
So you think he's doing this because he wants to take away your lands?
Maybe why? As you can see, there are buildings down now. Yes. Not one, not two, not three. He sold the land to one Waterways company. They dug the trench around his estate. So they paid him some amount of money, and he need to do that. They are giving pressure to give their land back to them. So that's what he's doing, to give the land to the people.
Right, Joy News is Derek Echo Sam was there and joins me in the studio now. Now, Derek, you've been there all day virtually, following up on this particular story. From all the indications, it was a really dangerous situation for everybody else, including journalists like you.
Yes, especially when the warning shots were fired. You know, when they
people were on their way when they were protesting, were asked to go back, to retreat. That was an order from the military personnel there, but the people did not oblige. They followed on to stop them. Then warning shots were fired. At that point, you had to run for our lives. So even when I was doing my first reports today, I was running and reporting at the same time, and there were others who were running with me.
Did you identify yourself as a journalist when you got to the scene?
From the onset, yes, but when the shots were fired, I realized that I have my life to protect as well. And one surprising thing is that, you know, the guy who was shot was actually standing where I was standing before I had a call to do the report. And so I move, and then within the next 30 seconds, somebody comes into where I was standing, and the person is fired, and the person goes down. That could have been me. That was a close shave, but very dangerous scene today.
Tell us about the people who were injured in this whole, you know, episode.
Well, they were at the forefront of all of this. They were actually challenging the military men who had told them to go back. And so after the warning shots were fired, we don't know what happened. Three other shots were fired, injuring 3 people. 2 people were injured in the leg, and the other person was injured in the head. 2 of them have been discharged. I understand the other person, who we thought was dead earlier, is actually in a state of coma, and is on admission at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital.
Now, this particular person who you say is in a coma, I saw some graphic footage about him, and I could see there were residents around him who were wailing, who at that point thought he was dead. Apparently, there's a story, there's a twist to this whole story. Can you break it all down for us?
So when the shots were fired and the guy fell down, we all thought the guy was dead, because at that point in time he wasn't responding to stimuli. You would touch him and you would feel that he was cold. Then he was carried into one Hyundai Santa Fe. He was taken to the hospital. So we all thought he was dead. And so people were wailing, people were crying. They didn't even know how to break the news to his relatives. And then at 3 p.m. we had a call that, well, your guy is responding to treatment. That was the call to the chief of the area. The guy is actually waking up, and he's in a state of coma. They had to rush in to pay.
Oh, hold it. So I don't get it. They say he's waking up, and then he said he's in a state of coma.
So, you know, initially they thought he was dead. So now he's waking up literally, but he's in a state of coma.
He's gained some form of consciousness.
That's it.
Because being in a coma means you're virtually lifeless.
Yes, so he's gained some form of consciousness, as you put it. So they had to, there and then, organize some people.
Or rather, he's not clinically pronounced dead yet.
Okay, thank you very much for the medical education. And so, well, there was also a point where I ran out of data bundle. Some colleagues actually had to come to my rescue, because I had to send the videos and the pictures and everything. It's been my most dangerous expedition as a journalist.
I can imagine. Now, I'm still curious, why were the military officers there and not the police to control the crowd?
The most surprising thing is that when the military men were marching to the place, a police truck came there, saw them, did a sharp U-turn, and vanished. So the military men had to do what they had to do. Now, the residents were telling me they suspect that the owner of the 21st Century Construction Limited, one Mr. Asma, had actually brought them in to do what they had to do. And I've been speaking to Colonel Agrikwashi of the Ghana Armed Forces, who also tells me that he actually does not know that some people were actually sent to Kaswa on a mission like this, so he knows nothing about it. And so the military police have also taken over and also investigating. The Kaswa Police, the Millennium City Police, the Central Regional Police Command have also taken over. A whole lot of investigations are going to this. Calm has returned, but the people are still angered. They are angry.
Right. Thank you very much, Derek Ekosam, and we're happy to know that you're safe. So that was Derek Ekosam, and he was at the Millennium City, where one person was shot in the head, several others were injured at the Millennium City. That person, we're told, is currently in a coma. We're taking a break, but we have more stories coming up right after. You're watching Joy News Prime here on Joy News on Multi TV. The man who reportedly confessed to seeking to assassinate President Mahama has been handed over to the Accra Psychiatric Hospital for a mental health evaluation. Charles Entry had his conviction for illegal arms possession quashed by an Accra High Court earlier this week. The High Court ruled that the lower court's conviction in August was legally flawed. Mr. Entry's lawyer, Francis Javier Sosu, told Joy News about the conditions under which his client will be evaluated by psychiatrists.
I sat through the entire proceedings, and there is no doubt that he is insane. The sad part of it is that his insanity is geared towards only one person. the president of the republic. And that is what makes him a national security risk. And that is why we need more security even for him as he undergoes this treatment process.
So you would say it's not correct to put him back on the streets even after treatment?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, it would not be correct to put him, back on the street. I believe that he would need to be kept in the facilities, security facilities, for some considerable period, for him to be observed, for him to undergo all the treatment that he desires until he is medically certified to be able to participate fully in society without being risky to himself and without being risky to the presidency and without being risky to other people.
So Charles Entry is not a free man after all?
Well, it depends on where you want to, argue this from. In my view, he is freed from the initial 10 years sentence that was handed over to him. And that was serious, to be a prisoner for 10 years. Now, as we speak now, he is not a prisoner. He is only a mental health patient who must undergo the necessary treatment. And by virtue of the direction of his mental instability, it is important for him to have some security, around him, so he will not carry out the kind of threat that he is, having in his mind.
You just said he is a threat only to the president. So we can just put him back into society. He's not going to go straight to the presidency and kill the president anyway.
Well, that could be an argument. But you see, anything that concerns the presidency, I think, goes beyond just mere assertions. I mean, it goes into national security concerns. I mean, anything that concerns the presidency is a national security concern. So until the person have had a full treatment, for us to believe that he no more believes that killing the president is what is going to make him a president, I think it will be dangerous to keep him out there.
Now, President John Mahama is taking the first steps towards seeking a second term in office. On Thursday, Vice President Kwesi Amissah-Arthur picked up nomination forms at the NDC headquarters on behalf of the president. In brief remarks, Mr. Amissah-Arthur said his boss is confident of winning and is even looking forward to some sort of competition in the ruling party's presidential primaries. Wacha Freynyama has more.
Ahead of the Vice President's arrival, hundreds of NDC sympathizers gathered at the party's Adabraka headquarters to show support for President Mahama. Vice President Amissah-Arthur arrived to a rousing welcome from the jubilant crowd. Addressing the media, General Secretary Johnson Asiedun Ketia said the only aspirant the party recognizes as having picked forms is the president.
So we have since formulated the guidelines governing the process, and in outdooring the guidelines, again we gathered you here and announced to you all the procedures that one would have to follow in picking nomination forms and filing the nomination. We did indicate that at parliamentary level, the forms are to be picked from the constituency secretary of the party, and where any prospective candidate has difficulties in accessing the forms, he may appeal to the regional secretary, and if that fails, he still has recourse to the general secretary. Since we announced the guidelines, I'm pleased to inform you that this is the first time any candidate has approached my office to pick nominations.
Vice President Kwesi Amissah-Arthur, after going through the processes, indicated the president is open to internal competition.
The president is seeking this nomination with a deep sense of humility and of responsibility, seeking a renewal of his mandate as leader of this party and as the president of this republic. And we are confident that the people of this country will renew that mandate. Mr. General Secretary, we are not worried about internal competition. The President is confident that he will be victorious in the party selection process and will not, and expects that as a democratic party, other people may have ambitions for his position, but he does not begrudge them that ambition.
Deputy General Secretary Koku Anyidoho has however declared that all the national executives will back President Mahama in the contest.
Open endorsement. We have endorsed him.
But that would be unfair.
It's not unfair. It doesn't stop. My mouth no begun. You know. So if you think that you are ready and you can stand and you can win the votes of other people, why not? But for me, Koku Anyidoho, I'm telling you that my vote is for President Mahama.
All the executives are going for President.
The truth be told, we don't have time. We don't have time. Next year is the election. If we go and change the leader and bring somebody else, it's suicidal. And I'm not about to commit suicide.
The president is expected to file his nomination by September 10 ahead of the November 7 primaries.
Now, two administrative staff at the national headquarters of the ruling NDC have lost their jobs. They have been fired for issuing nomination forms without the General Secretary's signature to the only man who has so far declared an intention to challenge President John Mahama for the right to lead the party into next year's general elections. General Secretary of the party, Johnson Esedun Ketia, says the two men who have been dismissed, including an accountant who had worked at the NDC headquarters for more than 20 years, broke party regulations by issuing the presidential nomination forms to George Boateng.
My attention was drawn to the fact that somebody who claims to be a prospective presidential candidate was in the office here looking for the opportunity to pick forms. This information came through the accountant. Immediately, I indicated to the accountant that he has no business.
Explain to them.
He has no business dealing with presidential nomination forms. He's been here in this party office for more than 20 years. And he has never on any occasion had anything to do with presidential nomination forms. And that he is an employee of the party. He is not even an elected member of the National Democratic Congress. That is the reason why he does not participate in any of our meetings at any level. We emboss our official seal. That is our party's official seal. At any point anybody is buying the form, we emboss the official seal on it. And all the pages are initialed by the General Secretary so that nobody can fake the forms and nobody can do photocopies and present them to us as our official document. So those members of our staff who were pretending to be General Secretaries have been sanctioned, and you would not see them in this head office working again.
Right, so the person who's responsible for the dismissal of the two administrative staff of the NDC headquarters is here with me in the studio now. He's the only, George Boateng is the only guy who has so far picked nomination forms to challenge President Mahama to the flag bearership of the National Democratic Congress. Mr. George Boateng, how do you feel about the fact that you went to pick forms and as a result, how did you come by the forms that has cost these people their jobs?
Well, if I could answer you this, I will first respond to my General Secretary, Johnson Esedun Ketia. He's throwing dust to the public.
Okay, first of all, he says the forms you have here are photocopies.
It's not photocopy. This is the original one. This is the original. The one that I showed to the public is similar like this. And
I'm told it's supposed to be in color.
Not in color. This is the original. This is the original. This is the original they give to the president when the president pays his money last Friday. of this account, the same account.
The president pays his money.
Last Friday.
No, the vice president just picked up his form for him.
No, the president paid the money. The accountant that Esedun Ketia claimed that he have sacked him was the one who went and paid for the president's money. So he's the one.
I'm not quite getting it. I thought the vice president just went to the NDC party headquarters.
No, the money have already been paid. The money was sent earlier, the last Friday. I made my intention last Monday when I declared. And I promised media that I will pick my form, which is like Wednesday, that's yesterday. But I make it earlier on.
All right.
Based upon intelligent information I have.
What do you do, by the way?
On this issue?
No, what do you do? As in, what's your career?
My career, well, I'm a revenue protection unit.
Okay. So where do you work?
At the airport.
Okay. Now, how are you going to go about this? Involves quite a laborious process. You have to go around the country, get people to fill the forms for you and endorse it and all that. How are you planning on doing that?
Yes, I've already.
Have you started?
Oh, I've already started, because we have earlier plans already, and we know what's happening to the Nakwedo. Similar issue will happen, because since these people are still in administrative, and we know that some of them, our members, also have got chance in. For instance, Kofi Adams is there. The National Youth Organizer, CD, is there. So these are the members of Lawrence functionaries, which they are there, and they are the control of the party. So because of that, we are not afraid, and I'm not afraid.
No. So you mean those people, Kofi Adams and the rest, will make sure that you sail through?
Yes, I'm not afraid.
You have their backing?
I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid once they are there.
Okay, so now the General Secretary says these forms are fake.
Let me tell you. Let me explain.
What are you going to do about it? Are you going to send the forms back and take your money?
What did he make a public? How should I put it? Did he make a public clear? Did he make public clear that if there's another form that I have to come for it?
Okay, let's hear what Esedun Ketia has been saying about you. So we'll hear him briefly, and then we'll come back to it. Let me get my directors to play that.
In our guidelines, that if you want to aspire to the high office of a presidential candidate and the leader of National Democratic Congress, you must have been a member of the party for at least 10 years. In good standing. So, ladies and gentlemen, I don't want any candidate that we select would have to satisfy the national constitution, and that is the 1992 constitution. And there is a criteria. There is an eligibility criteria. Any person who would be admitted to file as a presidential candidate must be a person with sound mind.
All right, so that's the General Secretary of the National Democratic Congress, and he's talking about the eligibility criteria for anybody who wants to contest the flag bearership of the NDC. How did you respond to what he had to say?
To my response to that, first, Esedun Ketia was speaking, he couldn't mention the party constitution. He said guidelines. You have to be 10 years.
Yeah.
That's guidelines.
It's 10 years in good standing, and it says you must be of sound mind.
And sound mind. Does it mean that the group, the party, which it is a group, that's our constitution, that's the NDC constitution saying so? It's not. So Esedun Ketia is throwing dust to the public. Now, sound mind, I and Esedun Ketia, who is understanding and the sound mind. Esedun Ketia, I, George Boateng, took Esedun Ketia to mental hospital when he attacked our colleague at Lawrence residence.
Oh, hold it. This is quite a serious thing to say.
It's serious. I'm saying that. And I'll give you an example. When he followed the delegates to Germany, you see, her mental district came out. So she went and took ladies' coat. So Esedun Ketia She's a mental person, so you should not take Essedu Ketia serious.
All right.
So far as George Boateng is concerned, in NDC party.
Hold it. Now, what I want to find out right now is the fact that it turns out that the money you've paid, it's not likely that you're going to be, your nomination form will be accepted. It looks like you've lost your town. You paid how much? 1,000 cedis?
The whole amount is 51,000 Ghana cedis.
No, but how much have you paid right now?
The form is 1,000 cedis.
You've paid the 1,000 cedis?
Yes.
Have you paid the 50,000?
Yeah, we have made the banker's draft. We have done everything.
But you haven't submitted?
No.
Okay.
The endorsement first, you have to go around.
Would you still want to go ahead to pay the 50,000?
Yes.
You're likely to lose it.
I'm not losing. This is the time we are going to see who owns the party. If it is a Essedu Ketia who owns the party, or it's Lawrence who owns the party. The party belongs to Lawrence. It doesn't belong to Essedu Ketia. So Essedu Ketia should come out and prove to the nation that NDC party belongs to him. Yeah. And the party also belongs to we, the grassroots. We are the grassroots. And so far as I'm a grassroots man, I'll make sure that Essedu Ketia will leave the party. I'll do everything I can do. Essedu Ketia will leave the party. Okay. Now, let's come to the form.
We don't have much time. We'll have to end it here. Okay. But, so, as it turns out, you're insisting that you're going to present your forms and pay the 50,000.
Yes. Yes. So, I've started my campaign and I'm doing my campaign.
All right.
Because of Essedu Ketia, I'll make sure that we'll take the party and Essedu Ketia will let him know that the party doesn't belong to him and will dismiss him from the party. And I challenge him to. Okay. Now, he said he have dismissed it. He have dismissed the two officers.
Yeah.
You should let the media know. You should bring the two gentlemen with their dismissal letter. That's how we do in administration. Or
you don't. So you don't believe him?
No, I don't believe him. He doesn't have any power
to dismiss them.
To dismiss anybody.
Okay. Thank you very much, George Boateng. George Boateng is the only other person in the NDC who has picked nomination forms to contest the flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress and President John Dramani Mahama. We're taking a break now on Joy News Prime. When we come back, we're bringing you business news. And there's a whole lot more coming up in this full bouquet of news package. Please stay. All right, it's now time for business on Joy News Prime. And Etonam say is here. Good evening to you, Etonam.
Good evening, Israel.
All right, so there was an article today that was put out about the new Joy News Prime, and you were described as bubbly.
Oh, really?
Indeed, you're really bubbly.
I'm blushing as
well. You're here to share with us some good news. Well, some not so good news about the economy and some good news. Finance Minister Tekbe is saying that, well,
there'll be no tax hikes.
There'll be no new taxes and there'll be no tax hikes.
But it's not so good because the taxes that some businesses are calling to be quashed actually will still stay, which are the temporary taxes, Israel. And so, not so good.
All right, give it to us.
All right. Temporary taxes such as the Fiscal Stabilization Levy and the Special Import Tariffs won't be scrapped yet, despite agitation from business community. Though originally intended to be short-lived, the Fiscal Stabilization Levy has been around since 2013. The Joint Private Sector Business Consultative Forum had only recently appealed to government to scrap it. But Finance Minister Tekbe says though it will be gradually scrapped, the revenue from those taxes have come in handy as a result of the decline in revenue from commodity exports. He was speaking at a presentation on the state of the economy on Thursday.
The measures have helped us, you know, even in the significant drop in crude oil prices. You recall that the only measure out of that package, you know, that we retained was the temporary taxes. You recall that we were going to start reducing them, but because of the impact, you know, that of the crude oil price in particular, we decided to extend the period for taking off those temporary taxes. They are temporary taxes, and they will have to go like the Fiscal Stabilization Levy and the temporary import duty. Those are some of the measures. And I think all indications are that they are helping us. Part of the problem we also had was with the excess, you know, expenditure with respect to subsidies and the single spine. These policies we intend to sustain, and therefore, if they are sustained, then we don't necessarily have to go for new measures.
Tekpe also assured the economy will revert to positive growth of between 8 to 9% on the back of the consolidation that government is currently working on. According to him, more jobs will be created in 2016 once the economy begins to expand.
And even with low oil prices, there are additional revenue. If you take current levels of forex, you take current levels of taxes, or you take current levels of economic activity, these are going to give a boost to the economy. And as I said, the studies are clear that Ghana is going to go back if we realize these investments, as we are doing with the World Bank guarantees and others, including those that will support the IPPs. Ghana is set to go back or revert to positive growth of around 8 to 9% on the back of the consolidation that we are doing. Those mean jobs. I may not have mentioned the word, but if the farmer expands the farm, goes into export processing, agri processing and export, which can be financed, they create jobs. Private sector in the process creates jobs. And if the economy expands, we get more taxes. It means government can also do, push its investment agenda for infrastructure in particular, which goes to benefit contractors, job creation. So I think that most of what I've mentioned, leads to growth, and job creation specifically. Yes, even though I did not mention that specifically, that job creation is a very major, goal.
Chief Executive of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, Mawina Treba, is confident the latest verdict on Ghana by IMF and the slight improvements in the power crisis will go a long way to improve the business environment. She's optimistic investments will continue to soar regardless of the economic challenges.
Most of the investors that we are interacting with, the bulk of them are focused on what the medium to long-term investment opportunities are. They still see Ghana as a fantastic location, very stable from a democratic perspective in terms of security, in terms of human resource skill sets, especially in terms of technology. We're the only country in the entire sub-region with a complete national fiber backbone, and that even excludes the application of fiber technology from other telecommunications operators. I'm not sure that we often appreciate how important that is for the business community. The sophistication of the technology platforms that are available are informing a lot of investment decisions of what we're seeing coming into the country. So yes, absolutely, the international institutions will continue to do the assessments of our immediate situation, but all the investors we're seeing are interested in the medium to long term. They see the plan. They see the steps that are being taken to execute on the plan. They see the openness of our media space. They see the openness of dialogue on political and social and development issues. And they believe that this is the right place to begin building that portfolio of investments. They also see a Ghanaian business community that continues to excel in the midst of the challenges.
Still on the budget, the president of the International Federation of Accountants, Olivia Ketley, says government would have to improve on information gathering if it really wants to address the challenge with budget overruns. Spending more than the taxes collected has been one of the major challenges that various governments have had to grapple with, a development that has affected the economy badly. But Olivia Ketley tells Joy Business's Abigail Admaku-Entry there's a way out.
Of course, budget deficits aren't unique to Ghana. Certainly many countries have that. But you should make your decisions based on complete information. And so sometimes it's necessary to invest and spend into something when in certain years you may have budget deficits. But you know what the complete information is and how you can plan for the future. So that is just a temporary situation. It's not a permanent situation. So often people do not understand that they're actually creating a deficit or they're creating a shortfall.
Efforts by government to ensure the oil and gas sector is dominated by local players are being hampered. This, according to the Petroleum Commission, is because most local companies lack capacity and are therefore failing to meet basic requirements that would enable them participate in the sector. This was disclosed at a training workshop organized by the Commission to address the challenge. The Petroleum Local Content and Local Participation Regulation 2013, passed by the Ghanaian Parliament on November 20, 2013, has received broad endorsement from many international oil companies and indigenous Ghanaian companies as representing not only the best chance of ensuring increasing Ghanaian participation in the oil and gas sector, but also presenting, perhaps more importantly, the country's best hope of effectively integrating the sector into the rest of the national economy. However, implementation of this law has not been without challenges. The Ghana Petroleum Commission on Thursday engaged stakeholders in the oil and gas sector to help address some of these challenges. Director of Special Services at the Petroleum Commission, Boateng, regrets even though the local content bill requires international or foreign oil and gas companies to partner local companies in order to operate here, it is usually not the case. Discussions also centered on structure and legal due diligence process and requirements in the oil and gas sector, corporate governance, management systems, foreign corrupt practices, among others. The Commission also regrets the local players lack certain capacities, and so there were also presentations on procurement opportunities. Leading telecoms company MTN Ghana is partnering the multimedia group on a project that could help you become a part of the news-making process. Dubbed the One Nation Project, it will give room for you to upload any interesting issues of national concern to a dedicated MTN number, which would then be played up on any of multimedia's 7 platforms. Acting Chief Marketing Officer of MTN, Noel Gamson, tells Joy Business the project would encourage more participation of citizens in the nation-building process.
We in MTN saw it as a huge opportunity. Obviously, with the leading entertainment business in the country, which is multimedia in that regard, and MTN as the leader in the telco industry as well, we saw it as a huge opportunity where these two businesses can come together and change the future of the nation, and therefore the name says it all in terms of the One Nation project. And I think for us, it's the best thing that could happen to both businesses in this regard, and we saw it as an opportunity. And also at the back of the program that we've launched today, which is the iFirst Month and Apps Challenge, as to how we can exhibit to the rest of the world the essence of internet and how it can actually change our connected society.
And that's how we wrap up with business. My name is Eton. I'm saying many thanks for your time. That's more news with Israel I. Please stay.
Business News was brought to you by...
This is Joy News Prime, and it's the second hour. And in the second hour, I'll bring you a recap of our top stories. A young man is in coma after he was shot in the head during a demonstration at Millennium City at Kaswa here near Accra. The bullet that threatened the life of this unidentified man was allegedly fired from the gun of a soldier who was part of a contingent of security personnel deployed to keep the peace during the protests against the demolition of houses in the community. A real estate company called 21st Century Construction Company initiated the demolition, but residents say the chief executive of the company had no authority to destroy their homes. More residents of the town say the construction company has no rights of ownership of any land in the area, and for the past 10 years has been tormenting them with demolition and false claims of ownership of land. Tahiru Abdallah is the Zongo chief of the Federal Traditional Council. He spoke to my colleague Stephen Anti earlier on today's big story. Well, we're still staying in the Kaswa area, where it's hard to tell people to refrain from taking the law into their own hands when they are subjected to incessant armed robbery attacks with little to no help from the security agencies. So it came as a little surprise to many when a mob at Dome Estate in Kaswa near Accra lynched a suspected armed robber and set his body ablaze on Tuesday. But members of this community continue to live in fear, believing that such vigilante action might only provoke more brazen attacks. Some of the residents are seriously considering leaving the area to escape the surge of armed robbery. Beatrice Edu has been there and filed this report.
I'm in the house of some residents who were robbed on Tuesday, the 1st of September, the latest robbery that happened here at Adom Estate at Kasua. The residents are worried about the spate of armed robbery in this neighborhood.
Around 1:05 a.m., I was in the room whilst I heard a door being break up. What I found out was that there was a gun on me, so I just hands up and surrendered to the armed robbers. And probably, unfortunately for me, they took some money and took some 10 Ghana cedis. They took some money, they took my 4 mobile phones and my laptops.
At what time did they come here?
Normally, they came here around 1:05 when I checked my time. 1:05 in the at dawn.
You were telling me earlier that armed robbery is a big case in this neighborhood. How often does it happen?
At least every 3 days we hear the sound of the robbers being around, being complained by our neighbors.
And how does it make you feel as a resident?
In fact, we feel very uncomfortable over here.
President John Mahama has taken the first steps towards seeking a second term in office. On Thursday, Vice President Kwesi Amissah picked up nomination forms at the NDC headquarters on behalf of the president. In brief remarks, Mr. Amissah said his boss is confident of winning and is even looking forward to some sort of competition in the ruling party's presidential primaries.
Ahead of the vice president's arrival, hundreds of NDC sympathizers gathered at the party's Adabraka headquarters to show support for President Mahama. Vice President Amissah arrived to a rousing welcome from the jubilant crowd. Addressing the media, General Secretary Johnson Esiedun Ketia said the only aspirant the party recognizes as having picked forms is the president.
I'm pleased to inform you that this is the first time any candidate has approached my office to pick nomination.
Vice President Kwesi Amissah, after going through the processes, indicated the president is open to internal competition.
The president is seeking this nomination with a deep sense of humility and of responsibility, seeking a renewal of his mandate as leader of this party and as the president of this republic. And we are confident that the people of this country will renew that mandate.
Meanwhile, 2 administrative staff at the national headquarters of the ruling National Democratic Congress have lost their jobs. They have been fired for issuing nomination forms without the General Secretary's signature to the only man who has so far declared his intention to challenge President John Mahama for the right to lead the party into next year's general elections. General Secretary of the party, Johnson Esiedun Ketia, says that 2 men who have been dismissed, including an accountant who had worked at the NDC headquarters for more than 20 years, broke party regulations by issuing the presidential nomination forms to George Boateng.
My attention was drawn to the fact that somebody who claims to be a prospective presidential candidate was in the office here looking for the opportunity to pick forms. This information came through the accountant. Immediately I indicated to the accountant that he has no business.
Explain to them.
He has no business dealing with presidential nomination forms. He's been here in this party office for more than 20 years. And he has never on any occasion had anything to do with presidential nomination forms. And that he is an employee of the party. He is not even an elected member of the National Democratic Congress. That is the reason why he does not participate in any of our meetings at any level.
Now, George Boateng, who was handed the forms by the 2 persons who have currently been dismissed, insists that he's still in the contest and has rubbished all that the General Secretary of the NDC has had to say. He says that the 2 men have not been dismissed, and he went on to make further comments suggesting that he is indeed of sound mind, and that if there's anybody who is not of sound mind, it probably may be the General Secretary. But the man who reportedly confessed to seeking to assassinate President Mahama has been handed over to the Accra Psychiatric Hospital for a mental health evaluation. Charles Entry had his conviction for illegal arms possession quashed by an Accra High Court earlier this week. The High Court ruled that the lower court's conviction in August was legally flawed. Mr. Entry's lawyer, Francis Javier Susu, told Joy News about the conditions under which his client will be evaluated by psychiatrists.
I sat through the entire proceedings, and there is no doubt that he is insane. The sad part of it is that his insanity is geared towards only one person, the President of the Republic. And that is what makes him a national security risk. And that is why we need more security even for him as he undergoes this treatment process.
So you would say it's not correct to put him back on the street even after treatment?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, it would not be correct to put him, back on the street. I believe that he would need to be kept in the facilities, security facilities, for some considerable period, for him to be observed, for him to undergo all the treatment that he desires until he is medically certified to be able to participate fully in society without being risky to himself and without being risky to the presidency and without being risky to other people.
And on to the rest of our headline stories. And the leader of the National Democratic Party, Nana Konadu Rawlings, has backed calls for a new voters register. Addressing the media in Accra, Mrs. Rawlings urged the Electoral Commission to heed to calls for a compilation of a new voters roll. She also proposed that the adoption of electronic voting to ensure free, fair and transparent process so no one has cause to complain after elections.
With the voters register, I believe that it will serve the interests of Ghana and Ghanaians if the voters register is revisited, okay? And we all re-register and we weed out all the ghost names, foreign names and all that. See the real potential of the Ghanaian voter and let them vote for who they want. I think it is in our interest as a nation to do that, because to pretend like we don't know that it's bloated and all that, I mean, it's a farce. And as much as our party, that the NDP, says that the voters register should be, cleaned out, we also believe that if it is done and done well, for Ghana to have, a quick step ahead of the rest of West Africa, maybe we should also be looking at electronic voting after we've re-registered and we see how it's working. That should be the next move. Then you go to the box, you put your hand on the machine where you want to vote and it's counting it for you. No human being will be counting to add anything to any figure. It will be clear for us as a people, this person has won, he has won. Then there will be no discrepancies and so on. So we believe that the voters register must be looked at again, and we should revisit it and have a new voters register so that it is clean, no pink sheet issue, nothing. Everything will be clear.
The presidential candidate of the New Patriotic Party, Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, is in the Volta region at the start of a nationwide tour aimed at galvanizing the party's support base ahead of next year's general elections. His first meeting was with regional executives of the party in Ho, from where our Volta regional correspondent Ivy Setodi joins us. Good evening to you, Ivy. What can you tell us about what Nana Addo has been saying at the start of his tour?
Well, he arrived at Angloga in the Keta municipality, met the Awoma here. He was of the view that people are saying that they don't regard Voltarians as part of Ghana, but that is not what they are saying. They are not fighting with Voltarians. So they are there to unite the MPP with the people of Volta region. So the people of Volta region should be just relaxed that they are bringing new things to the region. He also said something about the voters register. He is saying that only Ghanaians should be allowed to register and elect their president, and not non-Ghanaians, and that is foreigners. That is what they say. So the voters, something must be done about the voters register. The public and other people are getting him wrong when they said that those people from Togo, they have their names in the register. What he is saying is only Ghanaians should be allowed to elect their president. And so when given the chance, he will turn things around for good for the people of the Volta region.
All right, thank you very much. Our Volta region correspondent Ivy Setudi joining us on the line. In other news, or staying in the region, the Volta Electricity Company of Ghana has cut supply to a Ghana Broadcasting Corporation transmission station at Amejofa in the region for non-payment of bills. This means most communities in the Volta region cannot receive the transmission signals of the state broadcaster. The move by ECG forms part of a nationwide exercise to recover millions of cedis in unpaid bills.
The Volta Regional Branch of ECG on Thursday morning disconnected the supply, acting upon a directive by the Energy Minister for defaulters to be taken off the national grid. Officials say GBC's debt, accumulating from January 2014, sums up to about 700,000 Ghana cedis. GBC is not the only defaulter to be cut off the national grid. 3 telecommunication companies in the region also owe ECG huge sums of money. The electricity company says Tigo owes approximately 250,000 cedis, while Airtel and Glo together owe about 140,000 cedis. These telcos also had their transmission masts disconnected at various locations in the region. Power supply to the regional secretariat of NADMO was also cut off as it owes 6,000 Ghana cedis. Health institutions, including the Volta Regional and Home Municipal Hospitals, would only have their administration blocks knocked off the national grid to ensure healthcare delivery is not affected. The University of Health and Allied Science, Ho Polytechnic and some educational institutions in the region are also on the debtors list of the ECG. According to the Volta Regional Directorate of the ECG, the continued indebtedness of customers is having a negative impact on operations of the company.
Right, and talking about the Electricity Company of Ghana and the power outage or power disconnections, Sexy Sassy Miss Bell has done a song which probably may put her in line as an ECG ambassador. Right, Kwame Jumo Ajimang is here with sports. Good evening to you, Kwame Jumo, and thank you very much for joining us on set for this show. Now, one of the things that I know you're going to be talking about is the Black Stars World Cup qualification matches that are coming up. But I've been seeing some wonderful and wild score lines in World Cup qualifications around the world. So here I'm seeing UAE 10, Malaysia 0. I mean, Malaysia, where they didn't kick the ball at all, or what? And then Saudi Arabia 7, Timor-Leste, what, 0. What? And it turns out they're just 0-0.
And how about this one?
Yeah, Qatar 15, Bhutan 0. What?
Well, I mean, I think what this is simply telling us is that, I mean, there are nations in that part of the world that are just way too stronger than some of these nations. You wouldn't hear Bhutan that often. You wouldn't hear Timor-Leste that often. Yeah. Malaysia, we know they're probably good enough with palm oil, not for that.
Anyway, there's a whole lot more coming up, so you take it away.
A lot more coming up with sports. Let's begin with the Millennium Marathon. It's going to be a big one here in Accra on Saturday. A 21K for the professionals and 5K for the family and ambassadors. And we understand that Ethiopian great Haile Gebrselassie is in Ghana now. He's going to be the course director for the event. We caught up with him and his team at the airport.
Thank you. As you know, just been here last time, to launch this marathon here in Accra, Ghana. One thing what I want to tell, just for the people of Ghana, especially the people of here in Accra, you know what running means. You know what I think people think about, just to run and sweat. That if you think about, like that one, don't come and run. Just come and celebrate. Running, coming Saturday is going to be, just come there and to celebrate, to enjoy. And what is the benefit? The benefit, as you know, just we Africans are running. We are running. We are run for everything. Not only running for athletics or running for run. We are running for everything. And I'm so happy, you know, just to come back here and just to host this Millennium Marathon with the organizer of, you know, just the Millennium Marathon, especially Ambassador Motor. You know, he always with that, you know. He used to be maybe an athlete, I don't know. Your Excellency, Madam, thank you very much. It's really a lot, you know, for this country, a lot for Africa, a lot for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Come Saturday, enjoy with us.
Thank you.
So we'll be looking forward to the event later this Saturday. If you haven't registered, you still have about 48 hours to do that. 20 Ghana, 10 Ghana. We understand the winner is going to be going away with a car that doesn't come any bigger than that. Let's do some CAN 2017 qualifying build-up. Team Ghana will be in action against Rwanda later this week. And my colleague, Benedict Rusu, who is with the team, has been speaking to the chairman of the Black Stars Management Committee, George Free, ahead of the game.
First of all, it's a warm-up match. It has really gingered the boys. It has prepared them because they've been without training for some days now, and so it was just a good test for us. We're going to continue training here. The turf in Rwanda is an AstroTurf, not the main pitch, but then the training pitch is an AstroTurf. So we want to take advantage of the good hospitality given offered us by the Congolese, and then we want to stay here 2 more days. Train on the green grass turf, since we are going to play on the green grass turf. Train 2 more days and then leave here on Thursday, and then the next day, Friday, we'll have access to the main pitch in Rwanda, and then we'll play the match on Saturday.
He also spoke to the head coach Avram Grant ahead of the game on Saturday.
I think it's better than we arrived. This is what important. It was not so easy. The condition, and we didn't find a place to train, but at the end of the day, the boys did well. They trained well yesterday and today, and in the game they gave everything. So it's a training game. So tomorrow we have 1 more training, and then we are facing the game. They had a problem with the flights because they missed the flight, and 1 flight didn't come. So we prefer them instead to come, arrive straight to the training, and then to fly again, that they will rest and they'll be in the training.
Let's do some business with the All-African Games now. The Black Queens have arrived in Congo, but the team going through a lot of challenges, and the Team Ghana have been in Congo the last few days preparing for that game against Rwanda, and we understand that the skipper of the senior national team, Asamoah Gyan, has donated $10,000 to the Queens. He's been speaking to Benedict Rusu.
You know, we're all Ghanaians, and when you see your colleague in need, you need to just volunteer and then help, you know, and that is what I decided to do. You know, there were speculations going on, which I don't want to discover, but it really touched me, and I had to just offer my help to them. You know, the message was delivered to us. It was too late, you know, so I didn't get a time to inform the players, but I just volunteered to do it on my own. So it's one of those things. We're all Ghanaians, and we are here to help.
And the rankings are from the Coca-Cola ranking. The monthly ranking is out. Argentina still on top of the rankings there. You should be seeing that on your screen pretty shortly and get to see the teams that are ranked in the top 10 in the world. So Argentina in there together with the likes of Belgium, who have all been ranked in the top 10 nations. And I'm sure you're looking forward to where Ghana is going to be. Let's have a look at the African ranking as well. So there you are with the African ranking. So where are we? Ghana 3rd on the African ranking and 27th in the world. Not bad. The FIFA presidency is available for grabs on February the 26th next year, and quite a number of names have thrown themselves into the competition. The latest to do that is former Super Eagles star Segun Odugbami, who wants that